away from for Bharat to become Viksit by 2047? And to discuss it, I'm joined on the broadcast by a very special panel of experts. We have Dr. Rajat Sethi, who is an economist and a commentator, Sunil Alag, Chairman, SK Advisors, Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary. We also have with us Dr. Rohit Azad, who is an economist. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here on this special budget roundtable. Let's first talk about what should the Finance Minister really prioritize in Budget 2026. If we look at our priorities, our ambitions, then, we aim to become 5 trillion economy by 2027, third largest economy by 2030, $10 trillion economy by 2035, and eventually Viksit Bharat by 2047. With these ambitions in mind, what should the Finance Minister's, what should be the Finance Minister's top priorities? Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, let's start this with you.
See, I think there are three big priorities which can alter the path of India to achieve these goals. One is that there is a massive digital and AI transformation going all over the world, which is the biggest value creator in times. And therefore, this is what the Finance Minister should emphasize and allocate resources. The second one is there is again a massive energy transition going over all over the world, which will change the way we produce goods, we consume electricity and energy. And therefore, for solar, for wind, for hydrogen, for all of these resources which are renewable, which requires much less of the fossil fuels. So you need to sort of emphasize and put a lot of resources on this. And third, to my mind, finally, which is a big priority for India, we are one of the most polluted countries of the world. So put a lot of money on pollution control. We have been neglecting it. We should emphasize and put most of the money on this. I think these are three big priorities for me.
Okay. Civic issues, clearly a lot of people are now talking about that should be our priorities as well. First, our cities need to be livable, and then perhaps we should look at making, cities easier for doing business. Mr. Sunil Alag, do you agree with what Mr. Garg has said?
See, every year the budget comes, but it's 75% tactical and 25% on strategy. Now, the strategizing on the figures that we are supposed to achieve, that part will be done by the FM, but 75% is tactical for what is required in the current year. And therefore, I would say that the consumption story must continue. And that is what I feel, that the consumption, because we are a consumption economy, whether we like it or whether we don't like it, whether it's rural, whether it's urban, what should she concentrate on is consumption, and then on infrastructure. Because spending on infrastructure, she should concentrate on not reducing infrastructure spending, because I feel that it's going to generate employment, and that is what the Prime Minister would like to look at ultimately. So ultimately, it is 75% tactical. The budget is 75 only for the year and 25% strategy. We should not spend too much time on what we will want to become and what is the strategy for that. But every step that she takes should be on infrastructure and consumption. That is what is required of the Finance Minister.
Okay. Infrastructure, consumption, of course, consumption story is definitely looking much better now. Dr. Rajat Sethi, do you agree with Mr. Garg and Mr. Sunil Alag?
I think there's nothing to disagree with. What the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will have to carry on doing is ensure that the robust growth that was seen in the previous couple of quarters, that momentum carries on. There are going to be enough headwinds even in this coming financial year. So we have to be preparing ourselves to ensure that any kind of an outlier black swan event on additional tariffs or anything of that sort does not impact us, and our resilience of our economy is there. That is important, and for that it entails that we keep our fiscal prudence. I believe in this financial year we will not see too many populist schemes, because a lot of them were announced just the last year. So we can see some path of some prudence out there. We also witnessed Operation Sindhu last year, because of which we saw lot of extra spending on the defense. What would be that pathway in this financial year? Would we continue to strengthen with cutting-edge technology for our defense forces? That needs to be seen. But overall, these strategic sectors, which includes infrastructure, manufacturing, defense spending, technology, these would be some of the significant areas which I believe the finance minister would and should delve upon.
Okay. Dr. Rohit Azad, now it's also an era where there is a lot of global uncertainty. So many are also saying that we must focus on Atmanirbharta. And, with that aspect in mind, what are your 2 or 3 big expectations from the finance minister? What should be her priorities this time?
So I would not talk about expectations because I don't know what the budget would hold for us. But
you don't
in terms
have
of
any
what
expectations?
I know. So what should be done in the context that you just mentioned? So I would say the most important issue in the Indian economy today is employment. It's this obsession with growth alone. I mean, growth is important, but if it doesn't reach out to a large section of the population, that growth doesn't mean much. So employment is a central factor. In fact, the point that was raised by Mr. Garg, that AI is going to actually impact our employment, particularly because we are dependent on the demand, particularly in the United States, services, the exports that we do, and AI is going to affect that. So that's number one, which I think is very, very important. The second important component, in my opinion, is there needs to be in this budget, there's a possibility that there should be a clean air policy, specific program that the government should bring about, again, related to pollution. And Delhi is a live example of that. But Delhi is not the only city where you have it. Entire North India is facing this problem, and it requires a collective effort to control pollution. One important thing which I think is related to growth and uncertainty is mass consumption. As I said in the beginning, employment is an issue, so it reflects in consumption as well. It's not as if consumption is not growing, but it's growing at the top. That is not something which is going to have a mass base as far as the growth itself is concerned. And it's not surprising, as a result of which you don't see private investment picking up just yet, despite all the schemes, tax cuts you've given, PLI, and many other policies that you've implemented, including government spending on capex. But it has not really crowded in, which is what it was assumed, private investment, even though profits have soared. And the reason is mass market is not expanding. That is what should be the focus of the budget.
Okay, Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, you know exactly how the finance minister really thinks, how this budget is really prepared. So do you think pollution can actually find space, in the budget speech this time?
You see, if you care for the country, if you care for the people's health, people's welfare, there is no way that the pollution subject can be avoided any longer. If you avoid it, then I think you're doing a great disservice. Whether it will find place in the budget or not, I think there is a lot of public traction now and pushback about what is happening in Delhi, North India and India. I think if the government is sensitive towards public opinion, I think that is what should find. If it does not find, then I think it conveys that it continues to be ignored as it has been in the past.
It is an election year as well. Dr. Rajat Sethi, can FM really stay away from populism at all? Because there are some very important states that are going to see assembly elections, soon after budget.
Well, every year is an election year. That is the unfortunate part of our
and we have seen a lot of focus on election poll-bound states as well. That is why I asked you that question.
I just feel that over the past 10, 12 years, we haven't seen too much of populism being fed into the election cycles per se. There is general populism or there is no populism. So I don't see that as a big challenge. And I believe barring a few announcements here and there, I don't see anything major being announced. But what Nirmala
I don't think
Sitharaman
Mr. Garg really agrees to the point that you're making here. Mr. Garg, is it?
No, this I think the government is very, very, and rightly, every government probably would be keen to win elections. And therefore, populism you cannot separate. What happened in last budget before Delhi election, that big announcement on income tax exemption came. What happened before Bihar election, that GST announcement. So I don't think this can be avoided. But the trouble to my mind this time is that the election is in states where the central ruling party is not that strong. So by taking some populist measure, can you improve the chances of winning elections there? And if that is not the case, then I don't think populism would be a major factor in this budget.
Okay.
So this is where I have my disagreement. See, anytime you make any kind of an announcement, it will be in shadows of one election or the other election. This country is a big country and you have this musical chair of elections doing the merry-round all throughout the seasons. I don't find any window in which one right-intentioned finance minister can come out and issues, populist means by not being called out that this is for this is being done for an election. So let's not go in there. But what I need to, focus upon is if deeper capabilities around innovation and R&D culture have to be created, and Sunilji was mentioning that we need to do something about it. Private sectors have to step up. And they are not doing that. They look at their R&D spending. Can the budget do something to either incentivize the private sector to increase their R&D spending or get some tax offs around it?
Okay.
Maybe that is the need of the hour, where certain experimentation have to be done to nudge the private sector into that direction.
Okay. Mr. Sunil Alag also wanted to make a point. Okay. And then Dr. Rohit Azad.
I just want to make a point on attracting private investment. Now, when foreign investment comes in, that is the important area that we must look at. And 75% is tactical because budgets don't have the meaning anymore, because in the middle of the year, the Prime Minister will change according to what he needs. And therefore, it's only tactical. When she makes a strategy statement that we have to follow, 25% is strategy, but the budget no longer has the importance that it used to have, say, 5 or 10 years ago.
Okay. Dr. Rohit Azad, do you agree?
Yeah, I think this populism is a wrong thing to say. Let's say that when corporate tax cut is given, nobody talks about that as populism.
No, to be fair, I am asking about the populism angle, for a reason. Okay, ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, wasn't the focus on Bihar and Andhra Pradesh specifically? Did you notice that or not? I mean, be very honest about it.
Absolutely.
So how can I ignore that? How can I ignore that? There are some very important states going to polls.
First of all, elections. Let's say if you like democracy, then you like it in package. You cannot have democracy and dictatorial attitude towards people. You say China is bad, have democracy, then have democracy. Elections is about democracy. That's number one. When pick certain states, that's wrong, I agree. But populism, if you're just universally calling populism a government which is doing a pro-people, let's say, spending, then they did pro-corporate spending. They gave a huge tax cut in this country which did not propel investment, which was the purpose of that tax cut. You won't call that populism. When it comes to the common masses, you call it populism. When it is for the Ambanis and Adanis and the corporate sector, that's not populism. Have an objective understanding of populism and take a universal stand. Okay. I will agree with you in that case. Otherwise, don't make it into a populism versus a
pragmatism. Okay. Mr. Garg, do you want to respond?
This is absolutely right. In fact, the government has been extra populist as far as the corporates are concerned. Not only in the form of the tax cut, though that tax cut brought in 2019 was due because we had very high corporate taxes compared to everywhere else in the world. But whatever the expanding through route we adopt, for example, our so-called capital expenditure, is largely a gift to the corporate sector. There is nothing wrong in a welfare expenditure. In fact, it should be emphasized. But if you target it wrongly, for example, what is the point of providing free rations to 80 80 crore people. If we have poor people in this country, which are not less than 20 crores, why do we spend so much money? Why do we provide fertilizers to big farmers?
Okay.
So these hard issues should be
Yes, Dr. Azad.
I'm saying, but because the reality is, and the government knows that you don't actually have 20 crore poor people, you actually have more. So it's acknowledging, even though on data it may not show, that's the reality, unfortunately, of the country, that there is a large section of the population which is not even able to meet, 2 times food in their lives. So that's the reason. So this is the contradiction that you see between data and what the government has to actually do.
Okay.
Whether it is populist or not is another issue.
Okay. Now picking up... Yes, very quickly.
I have no issue if the government accepts that 80 crore people in this country are poor. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But if that is the reason why you distribute to 80 crore people these cereals, then acknowledge it.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned, Mr. Garg, that government has been extra populist for corporates. So I want to now shift our focus to the taxpayers, the middle class specifically. Should taxpayers expect relief? Mr. Garg, in a different conversation with me on budget, had mentioned that taxpayers should not really expect a lot of relief. But Mr. Sunil Alag, what is your point of view? Because we're getting mixed views here. Some say that just like the government has been populist with corporates, taxpayers also really expect a little bit more relief than what they've got already.
No, I have a very simple thing. The government doesn't have a basket of money where money spent on this, money is spent on that, then you save on this. We are not thinking at all. We are not thinking at all how much money does the government have in the next 9 months or 10 months, which he has to spend. Now, education is an important area which must be spent on, because I feel that the government has to spend on education, because that is where ultimately where the population will come. And where I have said only on infrastructure spending and consumption expenditure. This year, we must spend on infrastructure, whether we like it or whether we don't like it, because Mr. Gadkari and the railways minister must continue spending on infrastructure.
No further relief for taxpayers.
That generates employment.
So you're saying there should be no further relief for taxpayers?
No, I just say that no, there should be no further relief. Just leave the taxes alone in spite of increase in tariffs, which Trump has changed every 3 months. He changes his view. So therefore, don't follow him.
Okay, Dr. Rajat Sethi.
I feel that there should be no increase or no decrease in
tax rates. Dr. Rajat Sethi, what's your view? Should taxpayers expect any relief at all, or it's done for now?
I think it's done for now. I think we've already seen 2 high-level benefits that were extended to the middle class, A, through GST related reliefs, and second was increasing the limit up to 12 lakhs. That's I think that is going to anyway reduce the pool of paying income tax paying base. And I don't see government having any wriggle room or any elbow room on this. So I just believe that this is a budget which has to go back to the fundamentals, go back to laying the foundations, observing what is not working for us, identifying the strengths that we've already demonstrated in the last financial year, and work upon it. I believe the last point that I mentioned is FIIs and the FDIs. The net FDI is still not in the positive zone. We need to increase FDIs. What can we do in order to increase FDI? Because we are a capital-starved country, we need to attract capital, and that should be one of our topmost priorities. Can Nirmala ji do something on those lines? Going into those fundamental re-architecturing, redesigning the economy, laying the foundations for the next 5 years.
Right.
She has the window to do it, and this is what her focus should be.
Okay, Dr. Rohit Azad.
I think on taxes, 2 points I would like to make. One is that the focus should shift away from indirect taxes to direct taxes, because the indirect taxes are extremely regressive. So that's one point. And how do you do that? I believe actually instead of rolling back tax is you should actually impose wealth tax on high net worth individuals, less greater than 10 crores as wealth. That will mobilize a lot of money, and that money can be spent on, let's say, the pollution program that I was talking about.
Okay.
It's in that direction that fund mobilization should move.
Mr. Garg, do you think government can bring back wealth tax?
I've been saying this. We have $20 trillion wealth in this country now, as against $4 trillion of GDP, and which is very unequally distributed. 1% of the people have the kind of asset which Rohit was talking about. There is every reason now. The world is also exploring these options very clearly to bring the wealth tax back and start taxing the real estate and the capital in the form of share values, etc. And with valuation increases every year.
Okay.
It should be a mild one, but the start need to be made.
Okay.
I think time is ripe for introducing this.
Okay. I think on wealth tax, Mr. Sunil Alag also wants to make a point very quickly.
No, I said there should be no increase and no decrease in any of those taxes.
And no wealth tax also at all?
Ultimately, if you want to attract, no wealth tax at all.
Okay.
See, you can have a wishful thinking of what you intend to do. See, people will vote through by marching out of this country. They will go to Dubai, which has much more favorable tax arbitrage opportunities. Why do you think that people will stick around if you come out with these crazy socialist ideas?
Okay.
I think don't try. No, absolutely. It is. Where is the data? Where is the data for this? Before we come out and make a certain
Okay, one at a time. One at a time.
Statements like this, you cannot start to see penalizing wealth creation alone.
Okay, that's the charge. Dr. Rohit Azad, this will be like penalizing wealth creation in the country. Quick rebuttal.
That's not true. Wealth is being taxed.
One at a time. One at a time. Dr. Rohit Azad.
Yeah, I'm saying that wealth is being taxed, including in the capitalist world. It's not a socialist idea at all. In fact, taxation, by definition, is redistributive. How else do you define tax? What is tax? Tax, when you have direct taxes, is essentially mobilizing funds from those who have towards those who do not.
Okay, Rohit, very quickly. Yes, Rajat Sethi, very quickly respond.
Such kind of policy statements should be backed by strong data. Look at how the conditions around the wealthy individuals, are they staying here or they're just marching out of this country? You need to have everything in perspective.
Okay.
You cannot come out with those communist ideals that used to govern, the socialist ideals that used to govern this country for fairly long, where wealth and wealth creation was seen as something
I think we got
negative.
a sense, two guests on the panel think that perhaps there is a need to bring wealth tax back in the country. Two feel that no, it should not really happen. We'll eventually see what happens, because there is a lot of chatter around wealth tax this time. People are talking about it. We'll see what the FM does really on 1st of February. One last question. What is going to be your one quick message to the finance minister ahead of the budget presentation? Let's start with you, Mr. Garg. Very, very quick 10-second message to the finance minister.
So don't give away any more taxes and don't keep the fiscal deficits high.
Okay. Mr. Sunil Alag.
Keep the fiscal deficit where it is. That's all that I want the Prime Minister, the FM to do.
Okay. Dr. Rajat Sethi.
I think, use this opportunity where you have good political elbow room to lay the foundations for the next 5 years. You have the room, you have the momentum, utilize it.
Okay. Dr. Rohit Azad.
I think it's a very good opportunity to think in terms of a Clean Air Act, and government can spend money on that in specific. Because if you look at data, Delhi has had only 2 days of clean air in the last 5 years. I mean, every year, only 2 days, including in the year of COVID. With lockdown, we have had 5 days of good air quality. That needs to change, and budget can do that.
Thank you very much. I think we've got some really interesting ideas. Eventually, we'll see, what the finance minister is going to be doing, because this year, again, it's going to be a very, very important budget. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here on Budget Roundtable on Times Now.